Absolutely freezing. I'm in the offices of the Hive, and it's top floor of a building, single glass pane windows, and it's freezing. It's freezing. It's 5:05. I decided to come out with my flip-flops today, and I forgot my hat. So, I'm freezing. Right, anyway, I hope you are warmer, and chances are you are. And probably more, and hopefully you're also well fed, and you're feeling comfortable, and life is good. Right, 2009. Coming to London, doing some interesting things, I hope. A bunch of people that are, let me say, they are in a rather tricky spot. Nearly everybody that I know that's trying to do anything independently is in economically a tricky situation. So, that's kind of a primary kind of goal. Anyway, I've played around with things. I'm making use of the wiki that is provided by the ESPN wiki, in order to try to describe our projections, what it is that we're trying to do, and using it to describe our daily intentions. I shall be inviting Sophia to use this, and Mamading. And I'm hoping that if it's useful and we are manifesting something in the real world, then we will make use of the system and it shall help us. The trick is to be as lean and clean as possible in our forms of communication. That reminds me. I've got to write three protocols before I go home. Right, 2020 World Walk. I'm putting myself at service to other people. That means that I'm not doing this for money. That allows me to be completely free and provide my services as I see fit. I want to establish the Misurovitz point. Misurovitz point. Now, I've termed it that because in chaos theory, if you look at the Mandelbrot set, there are these points called Misurovitz. Okay, and they're kind of strange points where it's like it goes off to infinity in terms of depth in a very interesting way. It's kind of like a black hole in a peculiar kind of way. That's what comes to mind. Anyway, in our social dynamics, the problem is that we're not determining who in our Glite groups, who in our collective, actually require assistance. If you imagine that we're all doing different things, some of us are very, very close to being really big, okay, or at least bigger, okay. And the trick is, amongst our collective, who do we have to put a minimal amount of effort and energy into that if we did as a collective, they would be promoted and become more prominent in, I don't know, global terms. Because if we manage that, it means that this individual that we managed to promote ourselves would in turn draw attention to, and presumably funds, to everybody or different individuals within the collective. So instead of us all trying to grow, what we do is we actually isolate and determine who we should actually assist. And critically, that's a critical person. Okay, and that's the Misurovitz point. Okay, it's one of us. Okay, so far I was thinking of, for example, Tav, Sophia, perhaps Mamading, but it's going to be difficult to get him to get into a position of kind of power or something. Michelle Bounds, Ian Shaw, Femi Cow. Those are the people that I know that might have a chance. Ricardo with his book. Actually, I forgot about him. Right. Another thing, micro-patronage. I'll probably go ahead with this. There's a few people, such as Michelle Bounds, Tav again, and perhaps Sophia, maybe Mamading, Zhang, this designer chappie Chris. I want to get in contact with Krishna again. And I want about 9 people, hopefully maybe by the end of January, actually, but probably by Easter, realistically, where we've actually approached companies to try and get £100,000 from each of them to promote the social arc that these individuals are participating in. There we go. Employment. Now this is huge, okay, and it's concurrent. Reading the economic forecast, it looks like they're expected to have 800,000 unemployed people in the first 2 months. Now that will increase the total number of unemployed people to 2.5, and that's just in the UK alone. And this is not just like individuals that are at the bottom of the pile in terms of work or skills. This is throughout the entire range, incredibly skilled people. That's it. Now, because we can kind of predict that this is going to happen, this is potentially an advantageous thing. It's like we're a shop, and we know that 800,000 people are coming to the shop. And that means that we can reduce the prices of everything. Now, because we're not really a shop, what we are, however, is a collective. And there are so many different techniques and tools that we've been developing over like years, especially the people at the Hive, that I think that if we could get these techniques, websites, so for example, car share. Okay, the reason why car share doesn't really work that well is because there's not enough people using it. That means it needs a critical mass. Now we know that there's 800,000 people that are going to be unemployed, and they're wanting to save money. They're also wanting to connect together and to collaborate in such a way that they can actually work together well. Now instead of actually, like for example, 10 people competing for the same job, and there's only one of them, what happens if they work together, 8 or 9 of them work together to work as a collective? And they start to put into practice, effectively, the theories that people have described about open source and people working in alternative ways to do with the long tail 80-20 rule and all that. Now, this is an opportunity that's happening now. And what I'm planning to do is approach organizations to offer their services, but also civil servants to find out who to connect to and try to offer our services on our side. Not on the civil service side, the institutional side, but us on the collective side, as in, for example, me, I'm unemployed. And I'm hoping to do this minimally. It's not a matter of trying to prove ourselves and saying, we are somebody or rather an organization or a body that you have to trust. The trick is to put it into practice so that they acknowledge the problem that they're facing and they're just recognizing that we are assisting. And the way to do that is just by offering ourselves personally. So there's a kind of potential real confluence in the way that I kind of think that we can work, which is trust and individuals. And we don't objectify, we don't write huge reports, and we don't try to prove that we have to have a relationship. We don't argue about what's happening in the future. What we do is we get people to say, okay, try it. And then we try something, everybody tries things, and the result of which is that, somebody cleaning it. The result of which is that by trying these things, there's a result. And if there's a result socially, then there is a positive, a potential feed or flow of money, for example, or just acknowledgement and credit. Anyway, right. That's I call it employment. And it's the same with the Misurovitz point. I mean, if somebody can come up with a better term for it, that would be much appreciated. I'm also going to be going to agents and to promote various books, not promote, but give them various booklets that I've put onto Lulu. If you search on Lulu, you can find all my little booklets. I've got about 20 of them there. About 8 of them are just stories, but there's about 10 of them which is to do with maths and Buddhism, that's XQ. The education ones, Educare and Inspiring Change. Pulse, to do with computer system to assist in Confluence. There's a few others, Oh, a booklet called Failure. That's good. Concurrently writing one, actually, maybe with a bunch of people, a new one called Money Flow, because it's money flow seems to be a problem for open source projects. So I think there's an alternative way of doing it, which is more substantial than what's currently evolved. Actually, it hasn't happened yet, so we kind of need a bit more theory and practice to see if we can actually get something a bit more substantial. And it's something to do with my 2020 World Walk, i.e. doing things first for free, and then through trust and honor and respect, you get money as a result. Anyway, team play, I'm hoping to go to a football team, a major football team, and I was thinking of Tottenham Hotspurs because they've got a lot of money going into their company, but they're struggling with relegation, and that's ridiculous. And I think it's a perfect opportunity to prove the self-organizing skills that I've managed to learn from kids. So if team players can self-organize in order to improve the gameplay, it would prove, well, it just proves something about self-organization in an adult world in a fairly obvious way. I'm hoping to go to them. I've put some adverts for Tango, that's just for me, to try and teach it in 3 lessons. I've got a few people's responses, so we'll see how that goes. Tron. People have taken on the idea of Tron. It's amazing. People are wanting to try to produce the Tronic Cup in like years to come, where there's 1 million players. It's amazing. That's so exciting. Like a few social art pieces and the Wisdom Trust. You could check out the Wisdom Trust, please. Google it and just join it. In fact, contact me first because I think it's meant to be multi-level marketing as well. But it's in order to generate funds for people. So anyway, peace out. 2009. Cool.